Sue and I were walking to church last Sunday. I just gotten back from being gone out in the wilderness, if you will, for some time. And I got back Saturday night. Sunday morning, we're walking to church. And this was right out on our front yard. It's this little thing. It says, Signs of the Second Coming. Little primary artist, if you can see that, those of you that are watching. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Nice little coloring. But let me read these things to you. This is really, really interesting. So this is from www.latterdaykids.com. So probably a primary resource of some sort. Probably not certified Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but nonetheless, it was really cute. So these are so it says here, print on cardstock for best result, color the clues on the other page that are signs that the second coming is near. Cut them out and have a parent or friend hide them. Color the magnifying glass and cut it out. Use it to search for the hidden clues. So that's kind of fun. Okay, so these are, I don't know if these are in order, but let's take a look at them. First of all, a sign of the second coming of the Savior is that the gospel is restored to the earth. Check. Okay. Priesthood restored. Check. The Book of Mormon comes forth. Check. Wickedness, war, and confusion. I'm going to talk about confusion here in just a minute. That's going to be maybe I'll title it that. This is confusion. So wickedness, war, and confusion. I would say check, check, check on that. The gospel preached throughout the world. Let's talk about that for just a second. The gospel preached throughout the world. So those that really don't feel like the second coming's very close will usually go to this because it is in Matthew 24, Matthew 1, the Joseph Smith version of Matthew 24 in the Pearl of Great Price, and Doctrine and Covenants section 45, where it talks specifically about that the gospel will be preached into all the world and then shall the end come, right? So this one is a little like a moving target because it's not like it's one day it's done and the next day it's not, or one day it's not and the next day it is kind of thing. It's not like that, in my opinion. But I would say with the advent of the internet, Al Gore, thank you, Al Gore, for inventing the internet. You're just awesome. Everything you say is so cool. Flying here and there and saving the planet, having several homes and burning up all kinds of fossil fuel. Yeah, but what a blessing that he brought forth the internet. Anyway, because of that, this is just my opinion. I feel like that prophecy has been fulfilled in a sense. Not that it's every single person, but every continent, every language, pretty much. I mean, it's like I say, it's like a moving target. It's not always done, but it's like being fulfilled every day. It's like that fulfillment of a subscription, right? It's being fulfilled every month. So in my opinion, I'd say that's a check. Gospel preached throughout the world. But I get that some would feel like that isn't done and not completed yet. And then the last one is signs in heaven and on earth. Wow, we've seen eclipses. We have an awesome one coming next year. That's kind of or is it like this? I can't remember. Anyway, across the United States. So signs in heaven and on earth. We have all kinds of things. We had this horrible hurricane in Mexico that hardly got any press because of what's going on in Israel, and that we have a mass shooting in Maine. Horrible. There's plenty of signs out there of the wickedness. Now, when we say the end times, I always like to repeat this, it's the end of wickedness. And so that's why we look forward to it, because at some point it's going to be over when Jesus comes. Okay. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Primary kids learning about the signs of the times. Now, I ran across this report. This came on, let's see, the Jewish Voice. The Jewish Voice. It's an email subscription you can get. The Jewish Voice. If I think about it, I'll put the link in, but I might not. But the Jewish Voice. This is so interesting. The remarkable revelation: Italian parliamentarian offers to return Jewish temple vessels to Israel. You've got to listen to this. I really want you to pay attention to this. I'll butcher some names, but I'm gonna make an attempt to read this. It was also, I saw this reported on Israel 365, and I saw it on another one as well. So it's 3 different sources, all focused on this. This is big. Why this isn't national, international, huge news, I don't know, but it was to me. Okay, so I'm quoting now from this article. In a surprising turn of events, Rabbi Shemuel Elihu, the chief rabbi of Safed and son of Israel's former chief rabbi Mordecai Elihu, recently shared an astonishing revelation at the large gathering in Jerusalem, as was reported on Monday at the Israel365news.com report. According to the rabbi, a leading Italian parliamentarian, apparently he doesn't want his name out yet, but a leading parliamentarian. So it'd be like I don't know Italian government very well, but I think it's similar to what a congressman or a senator would be. Representing Italy's ruling party, reached out to his son, Israel's current minister of tradition. So Israel has a minister of tradition, which I love, expressing a heartfelt desire to return sacred vessels of the Jewish temple to Israel. This is huge. This extraordinary revelation unfolded during a Zoom meeting between the Italian parliamentarian and Israel's minister of tradition. Israel365news.com also reported that the Italian official conveyed his deep sense of importance and urgency for the discussion, sharing his perspective with heartfelt sincerity. Now listen to what this parliamentarian says about Israel. This is some of the coolest news, and it ties in, I think, with what Paul is saying in Come Follow Me in 1 Timothy. Okay, back to quoting again. Every day from my office, I see the Arch of Titus. It's hard to miss it. Given its size and grandeur, I've seen that in Italy, in Rome. Everyone can witness what is displayed on it. Jewish slaves carrying off the Jewish temple's sacred implements into exile. 2,000 years ago, we emerged victorious, defeating you. So this is, again, this is quoting the parliamentarian of Italy's parliament as he's talking to this minister of traditions of Israel's government. So 2,000 years ago, back to quoting, we emerged victorious, defeating you, destroying your temple, and subjecting your people to massacre, including crucifixions. Now, I'm back to commenting again. This was a result as to what happened in Gaza. So we're finding these underlying blessings of this horrible, horrible, heinous crime, war crime, destruction of humanity that Hamas and the Palestinians in Gaza administered to the Israeli Jewish communities outside of Gaza. This prompted this parliamentarian to make this call. Okay. We exiled the Jews throughout the world, a fate you supposedly deserved, as even Jewish tradition acknowledges. It does. 2 millennia have passed. So 2,000 years have passed. And during this time, you have undergone a profound transformation. You have returned to the land of Israel. And I believe it is well deserved. God promised that you would return, and the time has come. Goosebumps. Okay, so that was a quote from the Italian parliamentarian. Okay, back to quoting this article. The Italian parliamentarian then spoke candidly about the demographic challenges facing Italy. According to Israel365news.com website, he lamented Italy's remarkable low birth rate. Now get this, folks. Get this, Latter-day Saints, which competes with countries like Spain and Japan for the lowest ranking in the world. He noted a values crisis where people in Italy are reluctant to get married and prioritize their own enjoyment over the well-being of future generations. As was noted in the Israel365news.com report, sorry about that, he highlighted the impending demographic crisis, stating that Italy will soon be populated primarily by older individuals and with African immigrants expected to reshape the nation's future. Italy's birth rate hovers at approximately 1.2 children per woman, in stark contrast to Israel's rate of about 3.0. Isn't that interesting? So over double. So for every woman in Italy, 1.2 children. In Israel, 3.0 children per woman. That's amazing to me. However, the Italian official praised Israel as a miracle in terms of population growth and family values. As was indicated in the Israel365news.com report, he admired the strong emphasis on marriage, love, trust, and a family that characterizes Israeli society. I've witnessed that many, many times. This last time when Sue and I were in Israel about a year ago for a couple of weeks, it was just awesome. And we noticed, it was visible, especially when you got into Israel and the Jewish quarter. They weren't just strollers, they were these big baby carriages and getting onto the light rail and people and children and it was just so cool. Okay. However, the Italian official praised Israel as a miracle in terms of population growth. Okay, I read that. Yeah. And the emphasis on marriage, love, trust, and family that characterizes Israel's society. Okay, now listen to this. The average number of children in Israel is double the European average, which is a reflection of the nation's success in educating its people and fostering family values. The report added that in the eyes of the Italian parliamentarian, Israel has been chosen by God to teach the world these crucial values. This is amazing. But Israel is a miracle. You have succeeded. So I'm continuing to quote the article and quote the parliamentarian. But Israel is a miracle. You have succeeded in educating your people. There is marriage, love, trust, and family values. The average number of children in Israel is double the average of number of children in Europe. This is not just Italy's problem. It is the problem of all of Europe, and I would say the United States. Your nation has been chosen by God to teach the world values. Wow, okay. I know I repeated that. Okay. But the most remarkable, I'm continuing to quote, the most remarkable part of the conversation came next when the Italian parliamentarian disclosed an astonishing secret. The Israel365news.com report also stated that he revealed that Rome has in its possession the sacred implements of the Jewish temple, including the golden menorah and numerous other holy tools that were taken from Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. Guys, these are from the temple of Herod, and then before that, the temple of Solomon. Because they were taken first by Nebuchadnezzar, and then when the Persians attacked and conquered Nebuchadnezzar, or his son, maybe I think it was, they got those artifacts from the temple. The Persians did under King Cyrus, and then they actually returned those to the Jewish people, and then allowed them to go back and rebuild their temple. Remember that, okay? Okay, here we go back to quoting the article. He acknowledged the historical significance of these vessels, which had once illuminated the world with their symbolic and religious importance. Once illuminated the world with their symbolic and religious importance. According to the Israel365news.com report, the Italian official expressed his willingness to return these cherished artifacts to Israel. Wow. Recognizing the possibility that by retaining them, Italy might be inadvertently hindering Israel from fulfilling its divine destiny. The artifacts are currently stored in the cellars of Rome, where they serve no purpose. Guys, I'm serious. These are goosebump things. Okay, this revelation comes after more than a century of denial by the Vatican. I've heard those denials. We don't have anything. Gosh, I wish I could remember. I read a series of books. They were novels, but historical novels. It wasn't the God's Lion one that I mentioned before, but I talked about this very thing. In the word ghetto, Italian, it was the Jewish slaves, basically, that occupied the ghetto in Italy, and how in the Colosseum and underneath the Colosseum there were carvings of the different temple artifacts that had been stolen and taken, and the Jewish slaves would do that. It was really interesting. I don't know how accurate it was, but I remember reading about this. And then I also did a little research back in the day on that, and where Rome had, the Vatican had said, no, we don't have any of this. Okay. The revelation comes, back to quoting the article, comes after more than a century of denial by the Vatican regarding the possession of the temple implements. The report also said that in 2013, Archbishop Giuseppe Lazzarato of the Apostolic something in Israel had previously stated in response to an Israeli inquiry that the Vatican did not possess these sacred relics. Now, the question I have on this, is it the Vatican, because it's a separate country, or is it the Rome, is it Italy's government that has these? It kind of makes it sound like it's the government and not the Vatican, but I don't know. Okay, back to quoting the article. The surprising disclosure underscores the potential for newfound cooperation and understanding between Israel and Italy. It is a testament to the ever-evolving relationship between nations and their shared history. It emphasizes the importance of acknowledging and addressing historical grievances in the pursuit of a more harmonious future. Isn't that beautiful? That is an incredible article. Again, I got this from the Jewish Voice. I also subscribed to 365, but apparently I missed it on that one. But I got it on this. And then there was another place that I saw it. I can't remember where. Um, um, the comments are interesting on that. I was just kind of preoccupied. But so the beginning of that was really interesting because the parliamentarian was acknowledging the family values of Israel. And like I say, Sue and I have witnessed that. Now, here's where I get in trouble. Okay, so let's read what Paul says in 1 Timothy chapter 5. This is in our reading this week, so it's very relevant. Some lady wrote on the comment and said, stop picking on women because of the BYU Women Empowerment Conference where they had Sports Illustrated models, not in bikinis, but that's how they made their living, and that's what empowered them, was being mostly naked in magazines. It's crazy. I think there was even a Denver Bronco cheerleader and some crazy influencer that was, I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me, okay? But here we go. So this is 1 Timothy chapter 5. And withal, verse 13, they learned to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers and also busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. Now listen to this. And I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. For some are already turned aside after Satan. Now this is interesting because if you think of, firesides and messages to the young people, and particularly to young women, in recent time, do you hear the emphasis? What's emphasized more? Education and getting into the workplace, or being a stay-at-home mom, getting married, a younger woman marrying and bearing children? What do you hear more from pulpits? You see, there's a change. Now, a lot of people will say, well, this is Paul. This is outdated because he also talks about women not speaking in church. I'll bet you anything. I haven't read the manual on this yet, Come Follow Me manual, but I bet it does not mention that. And quite often you'll hear this explained that it's policy. However, one of them in these chapters was talking about bishops, and they should be the husband to one wife. Okay. I had an occasion when I was stake president, and our stake presidency had to replace a bishop. His time was up. And so the process of that is obviously contemplating, looking at who's in the ward, and then taking it to the Lord in prayer, and then submitting a name. Well, there was one individual who had been divorced, not his fault. His wife had an affair and left him, and just the greatest guy and great family man, and remarried, and everything just really good. And we all felt really good about it. Explained the situation, submitted it to the office of the first presidency, who approves it. And they got back to us and said, try again. And they cited that scripture, and I can't find it right now, but it is in 1 Timothy, I believe. It might be in 2 Timothy. No, it is. It's 1 Timothy chapter 3. 1 Timothy chapter 3. And you can look that up. I think it also talks about it in Titus. And they said, try again, which we did, no problem. But my point is that some things that were taught by Paul are passed on and they're still adhered to, and great. And then other things in the same, maybe a chapter off, are like, this doesn't feel right now. It's not going to go over very good, so let's not do that. And then, like some other things in the past, explained as policy and policy changes, right? So these are some interesting things. So I would say that the messaging that we're hearing now is more of education, job opportunities, and self-reliance in a sense that way, versus bearing children and being a wife and a mother. I'm talking for the women. Now, I just point this out because it's so interesting that this parliamentarian in Italy is pointing out what's happening in Israel, and what a blessing it is to see that the women are bearing over double the amount of children on average that a woman in Italy. And I would dare say that many in the United States are in the same boat. And it's not only who's bearing or the amount, it's who's bearing the children. And quite often the people that could do it and afford it and provide and all that, they're the ones that want to just screw around and have fun or educate, job, career. And then the ones that can't are the ones that, are having more and more of the children. So this has a ripple effect throughout society, and I know it's an uncomfortable topic, and that's why I bring it up. Because that's what I do. But I don't know. What do you say? What do you say? Do you ignore it? Do you ignore that scripture? Do you explain it away? If you can tell me that there's been many talks about young ladies, look to get married, have children, and I'm talking in recent years, okay? Or would you agree with me that the direction has been more, almost exclusively, in my opinion, of education, job, get into the career path, and then see what happens. And then many of our young women, not necessarily young women leaders, but women leaders in the church have been professionals or educated, that kind of thing. And so that's sort of the example that we look at, like, that's the most important thing, not getting married. Now, I'm not saying a woman can't. It's a lot easier now to get an education online. You can do it at home. You can do all kinds of things. And we should always be educating ourselves in some form or fashion. But that, in my opinion, should not be at the expense of not bringing children into the world, and especially into Latter-day Saint world. And it seems like the Jewish people and the Israeli and specifically the Jewish people have caught hold of that idea again. And you see it. You see it. You go to the Yehuda market, Yehuda market on a Thursday night. It's awesome. People, families, it's just a great atmosphere. So lots of problems, but lots of wonderful things. And if these implements or these temple artifacts are returned, are you kidding me? You know how significant that is? And then if you can get the site of the Vatican, this could really be the catalyst to get the temple built on the Temple Mount. Now, I think there's a difference between the Ezekiel temple and the temple that the Jews will build in preparation for the Lord's second coming. I think the second coming temple or the temple that's described by Ezekiel will be brought down from heaven, if you will. And I don't know how that's going to work. I don't understand it. I'll just be flat out honest. But from quotes of Joseph Smith and Wilford Woodruff that I read, from Zechariah and Isaiah, there is going to be a temple, and it needs to be built before the Savior comes. And President Nelson has said that as well, that a temple needs to be built in Jerusalem prior to the second coming. So you have a great war, and you have the temple built. Now, there is, like I said, there is a debate, I guess, between whether the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has to build that temple or the Jews will build that temple. My feeling is the Jews will build that temple and Christ will dedicate it, ratify it. So that's how I feel about it. But in any event, things are shaping up, and I hope this article that I read is true. I really do. It may not be, but it's been reported by several different sources, so they must feel there's validity to it. I'm a little disappointed the parliamentarian, we don't have his name, because that would really, stamp it. But let's see what happens. Let's follow that. I'll follow it, and as soon as I hear something, I'll report it. I just have to tell you a little bit about Cardio Miracle. I exerted myself quite a bit on this last week, and I'd have 2 to 3 Cardio Miracles a day, and I just take a water bottle, take a little sip out, just a plastic water bottle. I'd have 2 or 3 of them in my pack, and I'd have Cardio Miracle with me. I usually pound one in the morning before I left in the dark with the headlamp, and then I'd have some Cardio Miracle with me to mix in my water bottle and drink one during the day, and then one when I got back in the evening. I never ran out of energy. There were some times it was really, really hot, and I will tell you that the heat just kind of took it out of me, but I was able to get through it. I was with some younger, one guy my age, and then 2 of my sons went, and they're obviously younger. But I was able to do most things, right? And I'm 65. That's not ancient, but it's getting up there. But I can't tell you how much I love that product. And if you feel like you need that in your life, it creates nitric oxide. This formula creates nitric oxide. And you can Google that, look it up, and see what nitric oxide does. It gets oxygen into the blood all the way through. And it's a healing, it does so many things, and it's also good for the old ticker, all right, the old heart. So give it a shot. I'll leave the link for a discount on this video. I'll leave the link to it. So God bless. Hope everything's going okay. There's some horrible things going on, but we have to stay focused. We have to pray for victims. We have to pray for loved ones that are going through difficult times, and people that we don't even know, but that our heart just goes out. It helps to pray collectively for the well-being of people that are just really suffering right now. So let's continue to do that. And I know you do, because you're the best of the best. So God bless. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.